Did you want to watch that #1 highlight from that top 5 highlight reel? Was that something you were looking forward to? Well, don't worry, because the #1 highlight is this series right here. It's gonna be JimRising versus PiLiPiLi. Wardy. How do you like that smooth transition?
You ruined my joke. My joke was gonna be, and we are your #1 highlight.
Oh, okay.
Hey, those top 5 plays were sick. We went from meters dodging fungals to meters running straight into fungals.
Yeah, man, it went full circle. All right, we gotta get all the Zerg players who were like, "Oh, damn, that was really awesome." It's like, okay, now we gotta make you vomit.
All right. Well, we're gonna go into our round of 8 match for the day. Rising coming up, but we have had some updates on the bracket while we've been gone, haven't we, Mr. Fear Dragon?
Yeah, True ended up advancing on over Jig 2-1, and we also had Cham advancing on over Game Time 2-1 in a very, very quick series. I think that Cham versus Game Time series must have been under 8 to 10 minutes. So, bit of a ZVZ cheese.
Classic ZVZ.
But
mate, are you hyped though? Because we could have top 4 ZVZ today.
Oh my god, that would be amazing. But also, I think that this series is going to be awesome. PiLiPiLi versus JimRising. Both of these players very strong, and actually I would say that there's a potential for either one of them, just because I think PiLiPiLi on a good day is a bit better. Oh my god, Wardy. PiLiPiLi 6-0 versus JimRising. Jesus Christ. Okay, maybe this may be a more one-sided series. As we hop onto Abyssal Reef, skip the map intro because it's already started. Spawn down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have the yellow Zerg player representing commentators everywhere, and Mexico. Give it up for JimRising.
And in the top left-hand side of the map, our blue Protoss player from Psystorm Gaming is PiLiPiLi, who has been having one heck of a month in terms of StarCraft 2, and really is one of the top NA contenders nowadays.
Yeah, I heard he got a decent result at a recent tournament. You know, it was, I don't know, he beat like some moderately okay players at some point.
Yeah, I think it was called Ladder Heroes on the ladder.
Know what I was going for? It's going for, you know, the big WCS event they traveled out to. Got named Darth Sidious, basically. Darth PiLi. All the memes.
You mean his warm-up for Ladder Heroes?
His warm-up, yeah, that's true. It was a qualifier. He did well enough, so I decided to bring him on to Ladder Heroes. No. But PiLiPiLi has been one of the true consistent players in Ladder Heroes, not just in terms of the monthly finals, but also just in terms of the weekly. He does amazingly well and has just been a active participant for pretty much the entirety of it. Also worth noting though, PiLiPiLi has only ever won one Ladder Heroes monthly finals before, so it's definitely kind of one of those things that always is in the back of my mind, like, oh man, you know, he did really well a long time ago. He was able to win one, but he's never been able to repeat the success.
Well, there's only a difference of $398 between them and how much JimRising and PiLiPiLi have earned. Wow. Yeah. Well, that's pretty close. That's a pretty, that's pretty close. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's actually a pretty even matchup because JimRising, he is one of those players that definitely has the potential to upset a ton of people. PiLiPiLi is one of those players that, again, he is a player of a bit of volatility. He has a lot of really big highs. His highs are super high. But his lows are also, honestly, definitely pretty low. He sometimes loses to players and gets very frustrated over his losses when he feels like he's losing to someone he really should have been able to beat. But, ooh. Looks like PiLiPiLi gonna finally abandon, trying to block that third expansion. He knows the Zerglings are gonna be coming out, but he has a Stargate coming down pretty fast, and no Mothership Core just yet.
There was a phase where I was playing a lot of ESL America Open events, and every single time I would get PiLiPiLi in like the second round. It was like the biggest, worst rivalry ever because you know me versus PiLiPiLi, an epic matchup until he just cheeses me out.
That's not a rivalry. That's a bully.
Whoa, that's not nice.
Yeah.
Disrespecting. You know, one time we actually agreed to play ZVZ. I think we agreed to play ZVZ instead, and I was about to win, and then I blew my Banelands up on my own hat trick. Isn't that just sad? That's the saddest thing you've ever heard. I
take it back. It wasn't bullying. You defeated yourself.
Yeah, very much.
That's like the person who's saying stop hitting yourself, but they're not actually like punching you with their hand. You're actually just hitting yourself, and they're getting freaked out. Like, whoa, dude, stop hitting yourself. This is getting freaky.
Alright, well, on that note, we do have an Oracle coming down to the south side. A Stargate-based opening is one of the more common ways to open up nowadays in PvZ. A lot of Sky Toss-based playstyles have been coming around, and see if that's something Pili may want to go in towards. Although, actually, a lot of players have been taking a little bit of a step back from carriers, etc. in PvZ as of late. We've actually seen a lot more Twilight Council openers, obviously not in this game, but it means that we might just see kind of a Oracle into Phoenix into ground-based army rather than, you know, Void Rays, more Stargates, fleet-peaking carriers. Go to sleep for 20 minutes, wake up, and see who's actually going to win the fight.
I really want to see what PiLiPiLi is feeling about this, though, because he sort of made a name for himself at Katowice for going for exactly that style and being pretty successful with it, beating some really good players like Nurchio, as my memory serves me correctly. And this is definitely one of the maps that in the last NA Ladder Heroes Monthly Finals, he played a PvZ versus Snoot on this map, won for exactly that style, and man, it was a pretty intense game. Snoot ended up winning out in the very, very end of it, though.
I mean, Snoot's probably one of the worst players to play like a super late game style against because Snoot's like so good at that sort of like Snoot plays for that, you know, all the time. Like he doesn't play Lingbe Muda in ZVT because he wants to play Roach Rapture and Fester and make it go late and really rely on just consistently being able to play well throughout the game and his own confidence. And as we do see extra Stargate, so Pili is going to go for that Sky Toss playstyle right away here in game number 1.
Yep, and ooh, I like this. Shading the Adeption, but also throwing out a Stasis Trap and blocks off a lot of the Banelings from getting amazing hits off. They still get some pretty decent hits. That was a really cool play. Yeah,
but these Adepts now can't be attacked by Zerglings because they're kind of like blocking all the Stasis ones to like help them like wall off. That was so cool. 3 Adepts into the main. And suddenly JimRising is taking, I mean, it's not loads of damage, but it's little bits and pieces of damage, and it's definitely slowing down his mind. And so many drones having to pull away here multiple times. As we're going to be seeing another Stasis Ward in the natural expansion. Oh, wow. That's another, what, like 10 workers?
Yeah, I mean, even if he's not actually managing to kill all the many more workers, that is 5 or 6 drones that are Stasis trapped now. You can mineral walk through them.
8.
But
that's like 8, man.
Yeah, that's some pretty decent damage.
Yeah, I mean, if you pull up the very beautiful in-game graph for income, you will see Pili takes a large jump in income lead as he does Stasis ward up all those drones. So, yeah, putting himself into a lead here right away. And of course, I mean, the more you slow a Zerg player down now, the more difficult it's going to be for the Zerg player to fight against your unkillable late-game army, you know?
Yeah, even snacks 3 more workers with that Oracle, still getting some good damage done. And PiLiPiLi even comes in with a single Phoenix that looks like it's just been on Overlord cleanup duty. Kind of the Polt Phoenix coming out.
The Polt Phoenix.
It's like the Polt Viking, but it's a Phoenix instead. The Pili Phoenix.
It's completely different.
The Power Phoenix. It is a what's the phrase for a series of words that all begin with the same letter?
Alliteration.
It's an alliteration, except it's not, because Phoenix, it starts with PH, but it has the F sound, the F sound.
Yeah, PiLiPiLi. Yeah, it doesn't
so
quite.
close.
It's not alliteration.
It's almost an alliteration. It should have been.
It's really not though.
Wait, is he throwing down 2 more Stargates off of 3 bases? He's going up to 5 Stargates?
I don't think that's too crazy, right?
Like 5 Stargates on 3 base?
Yeah, that's all he's gonna build. 5, like extra voids. You can see he's already got like way too much money. And he's already got, he's got like way too much money. He needs the 5 Stargates.
Okay.
Trust. Especially if you're building carriers. I think a lot of the things is that a lot of players have built Void Rays then carriers. And so you can stick around and free Stargates a lot longer because the production time of a Void Ray is a lot slower, is a lot faster than a carrier. But with carriers, like, you've got, you start 3 carriers, then you literally just mine for like a minute and a half or something. And you don't build anything else because that's all of your production jammed up in carriers. So, yeah, I think it makes sense. I mean, he doesn't use them right away, but you can see now he's going to start getting money to use them, right?
Yeah, the big concern for me is just gas, I think. Because carriers are really gas expensive.
Yeah, I think it is just that sort of thing, so that you can see it like you know, like again, like the 5th Stargate right now isn't being used, but it's about to be used because what is he meant to build now? He's got all 4 Stargates busy. They're going to be busy for another 30, 40 seconds. I think it's a worthwhile investment.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm sure I trust PiLi to know this better than me.
Wow, you've got so much faith in the guy.
I do, man. This is one of my original breaking out players, man.
No Protoss better than the legendary Fear Dragon. I don't believe it.
All right, but here we go. PiLiPiLi coming in with the big old air hit squad. He's got the mothership core in the mix as well. He's gonna go for a snipe off on that natural, and there really are not enough Hydras in position to deal with this right now.
And
like, that's a guaranteed dead hatchery.
Sorry, I thought you were going to say on the map. I was going to say they're just so far out of position as well. Yeah. Like, they're all the way to the right-hand side, and, well, here we go. Voids, Interceptors. Some natural Hydras get back here pretty swiftly. But, man, yeah, as you said, this is going to be a very dead hatchery, and it's just going to be recalled away. And PiLi already doing good damage. Maybe could have picked off an Overseer before he gets out of there, but still good damage. Doesn't lose anything. Maybe if you intercept.
How do you feel about JimRising not going after the carriers and just going after the Interceptors? I almost wonder, is that like the idea of, I'm probably never in a million years actually going to be able to save it against that kind of DPS, so let's get the damage we can get done in?
I just think if you move forwards into them, then he might just actually turn and fight the Hydras, and he might actually just kill the Hydras.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair point.
It's kind of like, because he doesn't really have that many, and he's going to be fighting through like a choke point to the top side of the hatch and sort of through the south side too. So it's going to be like a very one-sided fight, I think. Yeah, I don't think he'd actually kill a carrier or anything.
I could
because he can just pull back as well, right? He can just pull back away. So I think he's just going for what damage he knows he can get done. This is a scary attack though. Like lots of Hydras and Corruptors. I mean, this is the sort of attack that might be a bit difficult for PiLi to hold off. Whereas Voiders, they are here. He needs those against these Corruptors. But actually, PiLi is going to just push this back super easy. That was way easier than I thought it was going to be.
I was going to say, this is a pretty strong army from PiLi. He just finished up +2 melee, air weapons, and he's going to lose some of his Voiders. He's actually lost most of his Voiders, but the Corruptors are all gone. And the carrier should be able to clean up all the Hydras. And now you can see the supplies are evened up, whereas at the beginning of that fight, JimRising was sitting up almost 40 supply.
I think when the Hydras and the Corruptors strike, it can be a little bit scary, because you'd be surprised sometimes how fast like Corruptors start to chew their way through those carriers, but you just never had the right number there. And because he has to focus the Void Rays first, it means that he loses potential time on the carriers, and by the time he goes to the carriers, he doesn't have enough Corruptors to snipe them down. And so it does take a lot longer, and it doesn't work out as well. So
I think it's also a bit of an anti-timing there, where he pushed in quite literally the second that +2 air weapons finished up. And for those who don't know, carriers, I need to double check the math on this because I haven't checked it for the updated Cyclones, but they benefit the most of any unit in the game per weapon upgrade. Because for every weapon upgrade they get, it's +16 damage effectively, because Interceptors get +2 damage, and you have 8 of them, so 16 damage.
That should be a questionable question.
That should be a question. How much damage does a carrot +2 Interceptor do?
7.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's technically 14. Oh, well. Pretty decent pulls. I mean, he's killing some of these carriers, but he's just losing so many Corruptors in the process. It's
just never going to be efficient for JimRising, man. Like, against this now, there's so many Voids and carriers of, like, he really needs to start going late game, mass spore, dragging 1 or 2 units at a time into it sort of thing. It's not going to be fun to play, but I think that's his only real chance. Like, trying to keep on attacking this head-on is exactly what PiLi wants, you know? And PiLi's so confident right now. Like, he's even sat in front of his cannons. Like, he doesn't even need those to help him out in these fights. As he goes up to 5th base, adds more cannons just to make sure. Here we go all over again. Corruptors will move forwards, and Interceptors will start to do their job. Mothership comes in, and as he picks off the Overseers, he doesn't quite get all of them, but of course, I mean, JimRising has to back away before he loses out on detection. There it is. Now he can't see anything.
Yep. PiLiPiLi doesn't even care about keeping his mothership with his army for a little bit. Chases after a little bit further out. And I really do feel like the way that you have to handle this as a Zerg player is, yeah, you got to find ways to buy time and maybe force out some engagements to take out some units, but you need to take the map a lot faster because PiLiPiLi is not going to get aggressive until he's maxed out. He's going to be sitting back. You have to start getting up a crazy large economy to throw down tons of Spore Crawlers if you want to take on this army.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the only way you go. Like, a bunch of Vipers start abducting, taking on a few at a time. I mean, look at this. Even the Hydras coming in towards these cannons, what are they gonna do? Like pick up 3 or 4 cannons? He's gonna lose Hydras to even cannons for killing them off. But I mean, now he turns and fights this. There's no Overseer again, and so these Voiders just keep on chasing, and that's so many Hydras going down here. And now PiLiPiLi now moving across the map. Nothing will probably stop him. I think there's a few spores over in this sort of location. He flies right over those rocks. Of course, he's just gonna get started. So, I mean, again, what does JimRising do? He's adding on more units. He's gonna look for a fight, of course, but it really is not going to come easily. PiLiPiLi even dropping a Revelation down just so he knows what he's fighting into. JimRising doesn't even wait for the fight. He types them out.
GG. PiLiPiLi goes up 1-0 in this best of 3, and somewhere out there in the world, Nurchio curses Protoss.
Man, I've always really feeling because PiLiPiLi beat E-Laser at in the Katowice open bracket. I think Nurchio has given E-Laser a little bit of a tough time about it. Nurchio goes and loses 0-2 to PiLiPiLi. Protoss, man. Protoss.
It's a beautiful race. I love it.
All right.
By the way, big thank you. I know I missed this. It was a little while ago, but thank you so much to Pleximo for the subscription, Twitch Prime subscription. Seriously appreciate it. I try not to do any of those kind of sub shoutouts during the middle of games because we like to focus on the games. By the way, big thank you to Bobble Convolute for the 29-month resub. I think probably one of the oldest subs that I have, alongside Partout.
How long have you had a sub button for? How many months do you know?
I think 30 months. 30 months?
30 months?
Yeah.
I want 31 months, I think. It's crazy. We got a sub
wow,
button.
Is this a competition? You're trying to say that you're better than me?
No. And it's just facts. But
it's not that I'm trying to say I'm better than you. It's just a fact I'm better than you.
It's not a competition because I've already won. So come on.
Wow. all right. I see how it is.
Okay,
looks like the players are ready to hop into the next game. Cactus Valley is going to be the next map, and I think we have time for the map intros. We'll see you guys in a little bit. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Here we are in game number 2 as we start up in the top right-hand corner of the map. Top of the yellow Zerg player. Give it up for the Mexican JimRising.
Up one game to the bottom right-hand side from Storm Gaming. Give it up for PiLiPiLi. Darth Sidious. Darth Pilius.
Let the hate flow through you.
PiLiPiLi played a hand of poker with me at Katowice. He wasn't very
Did he
lucky.
go all in every time? No.
Oh,
That's an old style PiLiPiLi joke. He doesn't go all in anymore all the time.
Oh. No, he just sat back and did nothing all game. Oh. No, it was pretty unlucky. It was a really disgusting hand. It was like I flopped freeze. I flopped quad freeze. It was really disgusting. It's like the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in poker. No PiLiPiLi. He lost an entire 100 zloty on that. It's like...
Let's not talk about how much pro players gamble after or during events, because I feel like some people will be a little bit too astonished. I feel like those are some of the facts that we're not allowed to talk about.
Yeah, but zloty aren't worth anything, really. I mean, they're worth something, but zloty sounds like it's worth a lot more. But you know we're going to have a zloty down? Have you heard about this?
I don't know what zloty is.
Zloty is like the Polish currency. Oh. And so at Katowice, there's a UK Zerg player called Risky. He's on my team.
Yeah, I know Risky.
And for some reason he was like, I don't think True is very good. So he started calling out True. And so we're like, okay, we'll play him. And so he was like, okay, sure. And then we asked True if he wanted to play. True was like, okay. So now we started raising money at IM Katowice, which is basically like we just went around all the pros and were like, hey, do you have any zloty you don't want? Because we're gonna put on a show match. And we raised like 290 zloty, which is like $60-$70 for the zloty down, which is True versus Risky at some point in the near future. It's going to be sick, man. We're going to have like BM videos going down, trash talk. Well, we're going to have Risky trying to trash talk and True just winning games, basically.
This is gonna. Did you ever hear about the infamous Eric versus Poke Bunny show match?
You know, I sort of think I did, but not
really. It was a great story, and if this game starts picking up, I'll tell it a little bit later. But what ended up happening was Poke Bunny called out all Brazilian players ever except for Kelazor, and then he show matched Eric and got wrecked. I think 4-0.
That's amazing.
Oh,
awesome.
I love those
the depths
kind of
by the way, just doing some damage.
Serious damage. Like, really
just
getting some serious damage done right now.
This is actually, like, I hate to be, like, super, like, dramatic, but 7 workers is pretty, like, detrimental to your entire game plan as a Zerg. When it's the first 2 adepts at, like, 3 minutes in the game, that really hurts. And Pili, he's even just going to follow up with a Twilight Council. Like, he's just going to go for, like, probably an adept-based follow-up because it went so well already. It's going to be difficult for JimRising to both remake the right amount of drones and still make enough units to not die to follow up adepts.
Yeah, I almost feel like this is sort of the similar thing that I think happened versus Raze, where it just felt like JimRising was playing on so few units for the early game traditional harassment that comes out. Granted, that was a different matchup, but it just felt like he just didn't have the Zerglings out in time.
Yeah. That's true.
Well, just like you said, Resident Enclave's coming out, got a Robo coming out, and more traditional game. This is probably not the greatest map to go for the kind of big old air toss army.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult to hold. Even 4-base on this map can be a little bit of a tough one, so... Pili just setting up into this Glaives attack. Doesn't look as though he's going to commit too hard. He's not going to like throw down like 5 extra gateways and just really go all out. Looks like he'll just be going for a few adepts here early, get across the map and try and clean up some of this Lingbane.
Yeah, I think the other thing is he's gotten and secured himself a nice little economic advantage. There's no need to kind of throw it away in an attack that may or may not work. So do a little bit of light pressure, continue the harassment, and keep your opponent honest. Make sure they can't just kind of over-drone and play catch-up with that kind of Zerg greed. But JimRising, he knows that he's not going to be able to get away with something like that. He's making a couple of Banelings and preparing for an attack after seeing those adepts. But PiLiPiLi's finally starting that move out.
Yeah, Pili, I mean, obviously just getting up to that sort of right amount of adepts, but also waiting for the Resonant Glaives to finish for the most part. And JimRising just is not really that prepared. I mean, 12 Links, 6 Banes. I mean, if the Banes go into the center of the adepts, then woohoo. And, well, maybe I just cursed it. Well, actually, I mean, this wasn't so bad, right?
I mean,
this was like such a mix. Yeah, there's such a mixture of emotions because, like, a lot of the adepts survived at first, and then suddenly there's, like, 1 Bane left, and then way more adepts died because of it. It's like, oh, well, okay, then. And the adepts do have to just back away. That could have gone so many different ways, though.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, my God, but I don't like the fact that I feel like JimRising is just not expecting, or he's really not respecting this.
Yeah. I mean, he just made a lot of Lings, though, right? And you just have to kind of keep drawing at some points.
You think 17 Zerglings is enough?
Not really, no. I mean, he's still got to try and keep drawing at points, otherwise he's just going to fall behind elsewhere. It's because he took damage earlier, and that's sort of what he's paying for right now. Like, it looks like he's maybe not got the right answer, and that might just be because he doesn't, because it's sort of difficult for him to make the right decision. Or it's difficult for him to make it look like the right decision when he's already a bit behind, right? So... It's tough. We're going to see a Queen going down here. Nice Prism Micro, by the way, just really making the most of this. And Adepts on the third. Oh, going to hide in that little bit of a crack right there to make it even more difficult for these Lings to do anything. And actually, I think all these Adepts will just about survive Nelly. One of them goes down, but I mean, still damage being done. More Adepts in the natural. Just try and trade off with Lings. And even trading Lings just means that the follow-up all in, which PiLiPiLi is almost definitely going to go for. Warping in Sentries, building more Mortals. I think he's just going to go for a big attack and just look to shut this down super quickly. Immortal Sentry on this map is super powerful. Lots of choke points. Should have access from either the natural or the third and just push into the other. Yeah. It's going to be very difficult for Jim to really do something.
Are those Adept drops on the Banelings? I haven't seen that in a really long time. Really well done by PiLiPiLi.
You could drop on the high ground there as well and keep fighting too with the Lings on the low ground. Yeah. This prison's been like super annoying basically, so... Anyways, more sentries warping in again. He's just building up that number of force fields, and his extra gates come up too. He'll pull the warp prism back just so he can get set to warp in a bit more safely and to join up as his units do begin to move towards the upper side. He's forgetting about one of his Immortals, which is maybe a little bit of a mistake. Immortals are pretty good, you know, if you make them especially. They're pretty useful to have in the army.
Yeah, that can be a tide changer if this ends up being a close engagement, but here's the thing, I just don't know how close of an engagement this is going to be. I mean, maybe if JimRising gets some really fantastic positioning with these Hydras, he is going to be able to secure the top of this ramp. I mean, securing this spot over here on the top of the ramp is unbelievably important in trying to defend, but JimRising floundering around with his Banelings, not able to make anything happen. Hydras on a regular move command. That just might be a little bit too much.
That's not good.
Alright, drones being pulled.
To say the least, that is not good as we're going to be seeing. While drones trying to just dance around. JimRising knows it's over. PiLiPiLi very, very decisive in this series. Like, straight up, solid play, knew what he was doing, knew what he wanted to do. Took advantages early, and he just played them out in his favor to bring himself the victory here in a Ladder Heroes round of 8.
Alright. And Wardy, have I got some news for you? Optimus got defeated 2-1 by Jon Snow, letting Jon Snow move on to the semifinals. True, as we already mentioned, was sitting in the semifinals after defeating Jig 2-1. And Sham ended up defeating Game Time 2-1 to move on to the semifinals. So we have 3 Zergs and 1 Protoss in the semis, but we also have 3 Psystorm players and 1 Root player in the semis. So, oh boy, Root's gotta pull out some magic over here to try and upset Psystorm.
Didn't you tell me that Root didn't have a single player? It just does.
That was off broadcast, so nobody else knows what you're talking about. In fact, I think you fabricated that. There is no evidence of such.
It just clicked that you were just so wrong. I'm sorry, Ravi. This time you were not correct.
You probably would have never realized that if I never mentioned it. Yeah. we were talking about, you know, the number of like how there weren't really too many players besides just Team Ascension and Psystorm in this bracket today, and it was kind of crazy. But yeah, there is that Root player of Sham, but I think while we get our first semifinal setup of True versus Jon Snow, that ZVZ semis, we're going to have to do a short little break, and we'll see you guys in a little bit.